Welcome back, everyone, to AP Biology with Mr. Rickert. Welcome back to my classroom. I got my coffee in my inspirational mug given to me by my former boss, Rosie Pack. Shout out to Rosie. I got my notes and we're ready to go. So here's lesson 2, the elements involved in our BBBs, or basic biological macromolecules. Let's jump in. So when we talk about the BBBs, our biological building blocks, we're talking primarily about 4 different macromolecules. These macromolecules essentially make up all of life. We have other minor nutrients or micromolecules or other things floating around. But in terms of the things that we need in each and every cell, we're going to talk mainly about 4 macromolecules. Those 4 macromolecules, as shown in the table below, are proteins, carbs, lipids, and nucleic acids. And these involve primarily 5 elements, which I like to call PONCHO elements. Now there's a second O because I took creative license, but those elements are phosphorus, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and hydrogen, PONCHO. So what are these elements? What are these macromolecules made up of the elements phosphorus, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and hydrogen? Well, let's get into them. So first we have proteins. Proteins are not just things in your muscles. Proteins are in each and every cell of your body. They are things such as enzymes. They're things such as protein channels, letting things in and out of your cell. Proteins are essential in each and every cell in your body. Then you have carbohydrates. These are short-term energy storage for your cells. Things like sugars are simple carbohydrates, or they could be more complex carbohydrates, but together they share similar chemical properties. We call them carbohydrates. Then we have lipids. Lipids can be used for fat storage, and importantly, they are in every cell in your body with phosphorus, creating something called a phospholipid bilayer. And that is something that's in all of cells. Not all lipids are phospholipids, but the phospholipid bilayer is something that is in every cell in your body. Last, we have nucleic acids. Nucleic acids are DNA and RNA, and they make up the genetic information that codes for each and every cell of your body. Pretty cool. So with that in mind, how do we distinguish these? Well, first, we can distinguish them by these biological building blocks, these things that make up each and every cell in your body. First, we can distinguish them by what elements are in them. Notice, all of them have carbon. Where does that carbon come from? Well, we could talk about the carbon cycle, which we'll get into more in second semester when we talk about ecology. But ultimately, that carbon came into your body because of carbon fixation done by autotrophs. You then ate as a consumer. You ate autotrophs or other heterotrophs, and that carbon was then incorporated into your body. Similarly, you got nitrogen from eating other organisms and phosphorus. Each of these have a unique cycle, again, which I'm just going to allude to now, where you'll learn more about semester 2. So all of these are part of our diets and incorporated into our cells. Notice all of them have carbon. That's because carbon is a unique element which provides the carbon backbone for all of these. So carbon provides a backbone for proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids. Carbohydrates are just made out of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Notice I'm including hydrogen and oxygen here. Usually these are in abundance, so we don't talk about the hydrogen cycle or the oxygen cycle very much. Those are related to the water cycle and are readily available within our bodies. The main limiting factors for life are often carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Those elements only make up carbohydrates, which, if we're talking about simple glucose, has the formula C6H12O6, for example. So there's other carbohydrates we're talking about in this class. That's a good one to know to start. What about proteins? Well, they also have carbon backbone, but in addition to that, they have an amine group. So they also have nitrogen. One note here, we won't talk about this very much, but proteins can also contain the element sulfur sometimes. But we'll talk more about that later when we talk about the difference between proteins which have individual monomers, amino acids that differ from each other, as opposed to something like a lipid or carbohydrate in which the monomers are more similar. Proteins, however, never have phosphorus. Lipids, like proteins, have that carbohydrate backbone. However, they also have a phosphate group when we're talking about the phospholipid bilayer. So they can just be the carbohydrates, but if we're talking about the phospholipid bilayer, which is in a protective bilayer around each and every cell of your body, they do have phosphorus. And so if we're testing for the presence of phospholipid bilayer, we want to test for phosphorus. Lastly, nucleic acids are unique because they have all of these elements. They have the carbon backbone, they have nitrogen, and they have phosphorus. So what did we learn today? First, we talked about the PONCHO elements with the extra O just for creative license. Second, we talked about which of these elements are in which of our macromolecules. These are the macromolecules that we're going to be referring to throughout the course. So you need to know what elements make up them as we go forward and show you their 3D structures. Once we know the elements that make them up, then we can go deeper into their unique chemical properties next time. That's it for today. I hope you had a great day. And let me know if you have any questions about today's lesson. See you next time.